I told the first lie in a coffee line because the silence after any updates at work felt heavier than the oat milk I was about to ask for. Actually, I said, clearing my throat like the word needed room, I might be moving to Paris. The word Paris works like confetti. People clap for it. The girl behind me said shut up, in the good way, and my friend Alyssa squealed and squeezed my arm so hard my latte sloshed. It was supposed to be a joke. A deflection. But I liked how it felt in my mouth. Like I'd grabbed a brighter version of my life and slipped it on in public to see if it fit. By lunch, the joke had sprouted a backstory. Lux & Company, a cosmetics brand I'd pitched once in a deck that went nowhere, was expanding their EU team and had found me on LinkedIn. Alyssa said I'd be perfect. I said, that's what they said. I took a breath and let the new air expand my ribs. If you want to build a life fast, use Canva. I found a clean letterhead template, dropped in a logo from the brand's press kit, and wrote words I'd seen in real offers. Contingent upon background check. Relocation stipend to be coordinated by HR. Start date TBD Q3. I angled the screenshot so the file name. offer_lux_3_Layla.pdf. Peeked in the corner like a peekaboo. I sent it to our group chat and watched hearts pop like popcorn. I didn't plan the rest. That's the problem with momentum. It keeps going even when you should get off. I told my mother next because she keeps a ledger in her head of good news and bad, and I hadn't given her anything to brag about lately. Mija, she breathed, crossing herself the way she does when planes take off on TV. Paris. She sent 5 Eiffel Tower emojis and 1 prayer hands, which is very my mother. Adam was last. He's a civil engineer who knows what it means to build something that won't collapse when the wind remembers physics. He cooks his eggs low and slow, he keeps jumper cables in his trunk, and when I say I had a hard day he says, tell me the worst part first, like Triev. He read the screenshot twice. This is exciting, he said careful. What visa would it be? France requires a long-stay work visa if you're employed there. Even Americans can't work on the 90-day tourist entry. HR's handling it, I said, waving my hand. They have a relocation firm. What arrondissement is the office? He asked, smiling, the way people smile when they're trying to be inside your happiness. I only ask because if it's in La Défense, the commute's different than if you're in the second. I got irritated because detail is the enemy of improv. Don't start interrogating me, I snapped. Just be happy. I am, he said, and I could hear the but he didn't say. Also when. TBD, I said. That was my favorite part of the lie. To be determined. Determined by whom? By me apparently. The dominoes lined up faster than I could pretend to arrange them. HR accepted my 2-line resignation email and set up an exit interview. My aunt booked a restaurant for a bon voyage dinner and bought foil balloons that spelled bon voyage with a wonky N because she always buys the discounted letters. My mother found a flight deal and asked for the PNR. Alyssa offered me her Rimowa knockoff because Paris is no place for soft-sided luggage. My brother Omar asked if we could share my Apple location so we can track you across the ocean. I said sure and turned it off because even my lies have boundaries. Adam stayed steady and kind and infuriatingly adult. I'm proud of you, he said, and then later. Where will you live? Company housing? What's the relocation stipend? A lot of places publish their ranges. Do you not believe me? I said because defense is easier than detail. I believe you're scared of feeling stuck, he said. I don't know if this is a ropes course or a ladder. That doesn't even mean anything, I snapped. Just say congrats. He studied my face like a blueprint and folded the conversation away like a pocket knife. Congrats, he said. On Saturday, my family hosted the party at my mother's house. Pastel macarons from the expensive bakery, a Spotify playlist called French Dinner Vibes that I found by searching Emily in Paris, but less cringe. A banner my cousin had made with a photo of me against a clip art skyline. I wore a cream blouse with a deep V and a necklace my grandmother left me, because I wanted the pictures to look like the edges of the life I'd pretended to earn. People handed me cards with gift cards tucked inside, and when my uncle pressed cash into my palm and said, for emergencies, I wanted to shove the bills back into his shirt pocket and confess. Instead, I slipped them into my clutch and drank another glass of champagne. At 9, Adam showed up with flowers and a small wrapped box and the look he reserves for emergencies and big starts. For the gate, he said, handing me a little leather case that discreetly held a passport and boarding pass. And this. A universal adapter with a note, because I want your hairdryer to work when you do. He smelled like solder and cedar. He hugged my mother for longer than usual. She whispered in his ear the way mothers do when they're storing men for later. He didn't correct anyone who called him my fiancé, even though we were not engaged. He simply let the room pretend we were all the people they wanted us to be. After cake, my grandmother's sister asked Adam for details about the visa. He didn't make anything up on my behalf. He said, "Layla will have all the paperwork," and squeezed my knee under the table like a question. I slid my phone out and pretended to look at an email I did not have. We were supposed to go to the airport together the next afternoon. My mother insisted on driving because of course she did. I panicked at dawn and texted the family group chat that my flight had been moved up to a weird time, then scheduled an Uber and left a handwritten note on my mother's kitchen counter with too many hearts. At the curb, Adam met me anyway. "I took an earlier lunch," he said, setting down the passport case he'd given me the night before like he was placing a crown I hadn't earned. He watched me pull up the airline app and scan for a boarding pass that did not exist. "What terminal?" he asked softly. I picked international because it sounded like it had fewer facts. He nodded, took my suitcase handle, and walked with me in silence under the giant departure board that made my life feel very, very small. Near the French carrier desk, a line wrapped like a ribbon, and an employee announced something about passports and visas, and assistance for long-stay applicants. Adam touched my elbow. "Baby," he said, and the endearment made the floor tilt. "I will love you if you're moving to Paris, and I will love you if you are not. What I won't do is be the guy who is part of your theater. Do you want to tell me, or should I ask you again in 10 minutes when your mother pulls up with a cooler of empanadas?" "I need to pee," I said, "because what else do you say when the set is falling?" I dragged my suitcase into the nearest women's room, and sat on the closed toilet with my face in my hands. When I came out, Adam was waiting. He held out his hand. In it, my phone blinked with a text from Omar. "Find my Layla's location off. Turn it on. Mom's on her way." Adam's voice was steady. "U.S. citizens can't legally work in France without a long-stay visa, and you'd need it before you go. Company usually guides the OFI process. You'd have a validation appointment lined up. You have none of that." He wasn't cross-examining. He was explaining why gravity exists. "I wanted it to be true," I said, which is the laziest confession and still the only one I had. He nodded. "I know." He looked at the ceiling like a man looking at the underside of a bridge he knew wouldn't carry a load. "I'm going to go. I'm not going to help you run the next part. Return my key through your concierge. I'll have a courier pick up my tools on Tuesday. Text me which day. Please don't make your mother the bad guy for finding out." He kissed my forehead and left me with my suitcase and the yawning space where a boarding pass should be. I took an Uber to the Motel 6 off the loop, because shame wants fluorescent lighting. I checked in under my middle name and dragged my suitcase across a carpet that smelled like oranges and old decisions. I turned off my phone to make the world stop knocking. It didn't. At 5:14 p.m., someone knocked anyway. I knew the sound. It's family. Omar's voice came through the door. "Layla. Open. Now." When I cracked it, my mother was behind him, clutching a Tupperware like a talisman. She looked at my blouse. The same cream one now wrinkled. And at the suitcase I hadn't thought to hide, and at the bedspread pattern, and I watched disappointment move across her face like clouds. "Why?" she asked simply, and I started to say, "I didn't want you to be ashamed of me," but the truth caught up and lapped me. I didn't want to be ashamed of me. Lying felt like being someone worthy of the way people smile when you say Paris. Omar had his phone out with my Instagram pulled up. A story I'd posted the night before with a screenshot of a fake boarding pass I'd edited to look almost real. "You used the wrong format," he said softly, "because brothers can be cruel or kind, and he picked kind. Air France doesn't show the terminal on this screen. They show the gate after security." My mother sat on the bed and set the Tupperware on the nightstand like she was leaving food at a shrine. "Why?" she asked again. "I'm stuck," I said. My job is fine. My savings are small. Alyssa's moving up and Nina's engaged and Adam is too good. I wanted to be someone you would brag about without squinting. You think I squint? My mother said, offended by the wrong thing, which is also very my mother. I squint because my eyes are old, not because you are not enough. She shook her head. But you don't lie. You do not take money from your tios for a trip you will not take. You do not make your grandmother bless a photo of a building you've never seen. I'll pay it back, I said, my voice thin. You will, she said. But first you will call everyone who gave you a card, and you will tell them you made a mistake. You will ask if they want a refund or if you can use it for school. And you will call Adam. I can't fix Adam, I said, feeling it like a tooth you know is cracked. No, she said. You cannot fix a man you broke with a story. That one you will accept. She handed me a fork. Eat your empanadas. Then we will go home. Home. The word was both mercy and sentencing. HR called the next morning. We heard you were moving, my manager said, her voice weirdly bright, like she hoped if she smiled hard enough through the phone she'd hear the truth. Before we process your exit, I wanted to say, a friend of mine in recruiting at Lux & Company said they don't have an EU opening in your field. Did you get something else? I could have escalated the lie and named another brand. I chose the boring, humiliating option. I made it up, I said. I resigned based on something that wasn't real. I epilogue. We'll put you down as resigned effective Friday, she said gently, choosing administrative kindness over moral outrage. You can reapply in 6 months if something opens. Good luck, Layla. Adam didn't block me. He switched to email, the way he does when ceilings fall. Subject: keys/tools/plants. Leave my key with your concierge. I'll have a courier pick it up Wednesday. I'll swing by for my drill and impact driver at 6 p.m. Friday when you're at your mom's. No need to be there. Keep the passport case and adapter. They're yours. Take care of yourself. He didn't subtweet me or tell my cousins or show up to lecture me in my mother's kitchen. He simply declined to live in my fiction. That's how he wins. By choosing a dull dignity I didn't know how to hold. I got a job at a small bakery that smells like apology. I enrolled in an actual French class at the community college because if I'm going to embarrass myself again, it will be conjugating verbs, not life. I made a spreadsheet of who gave what at the party, and I called each person. I expected lectures. I got size and offers to keep the gift if I promised to point it at tuition or a certificate program. I put cash in envelopes and wrote dates on them like, Omar $100 by July 15th. Shame became line items, which is less cinematic and more useful. Weeks later, a photo popped up in my feed. Adam on the Pont Neuf with a co-worker crew, hard hats dangling from their backpacks because they were doing a short project near La Défense. Of course he actually went to Paris. Of course his life produces the things mine only posted about. He looked tired and content, which is a combination I used to think meant small, and now I understand means real. He didn't text me from the river. He didn't send a selfie from a cafe we once pretended we'd sit in. He flew home, finished his tie-in, and posted a sunrise over a half-lit subdivision that looked like a promise you could stand inside. I didn't lose a man because I wasn't exotic enough. I lost him because I couldn't introduce the truth in a room where I wanted applause. That's the moral I wish someone had tattooed on my forehead the day I downloaded Canva. The universe did not punish me with lightning or bless me with a real offer as a cosmic joke. It handed me a measuring cup and a 5 a.m. bake schedule and a notebook full of French homework. It asked me to get small and be boring for a while. It turns out boring is where trust grows. I still want Paris. But the next time I say it, it will be because a visa has my name on it, not a font. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. She faked a Paris job for applause and gifts. When her boyfriend asked basic visa questions, she called it negativity. He didn't blow up, he stepped out, set clean logistics, and refused to play along. Her family found her at a motel with a suitcase and empanadas, and the truth did the rest. Lesson: if it only exists as a screenshot, it's not a plan. It's a performance. If you liked this video, please subscribe for more. Thanks and see y'all tomorrow.